It's should come back, we could try again. Oh, I wish I realized we were in paradise. And now, every time I fall asleep, I dream of what we used to be. I don't understand it, somehow I didn't see. It took me far too long to realize that I take your love for granted. It's a possibility that all that I have left on memory. Won't you come back again? Baby, we could try again. We could try again. Come back again. I don't wanna play no games. Maybe you should come back. We could try again. Oh, maybe we should try again, babe. Won't you come back again? Baby, we could try again. We could try again. Come back again. I don't wanna play no games. You should come back. We should try again. We could try again. We could try again. Baby, we should try again. Yeah. Come baby, we can try again. Try again.
I knew it.
Hola, hola,
It's very
bienvenidos. ¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos a este nuevo webinar. Acá desde las instalaciones de Music los saluda Alfonso Mayor. 15 de diciembre, 11 de la mañana, Santiago, Chile, después de un hermoso día de eclipse ayer. Hoy día volvemos acá a las instalaciones para transmitir en vivo y en directo de una marca que les va a sorprender. Hoy día vamos a hablar acerca de SPL, una marca de excelencia que no se pueden perder, así que desde ya les agradezco la conexión y los invito a compartir para que más gente conozca de esta marca. Tenemos acá en estudio muchas sorpresas que comentarles y novedades respecto a la tecnología que utilizan. Para esta oportunidad nos vamos a reunir con dos grandes invitados, que es Hermann Gier, fundador y gerente de SPL, y Javier Metzger. ¿Qué tal? Y bueno, y por supuesto vamos a tener acá a Omar, que va a ser nuestro traductor porque ellos son de Alemania. Entonces el idioma va a ser inglés. De la marca, esta maravillosa marca, cómo nace, de dónde es, etcétera.
Uh, Herman, can you tell us about the history of SPL, where it burns, etc.? Can you tell us
Yeah,
about that?
yeah, absolutely. This goes back quite a long time already. So when I started out, or SPL started out in 1983 already. So that's a long, long time ago. And my partner Wolfgang Neumann, he is the original founder of the company. And 2 years later, I joined him. I was still in studying, and he was making these extraordinary products, equalizers and compressors, limiters, and all of that things. Nobody knew about him really, and I was a bass player as a hobby side, and I got to know him, and I said, okay, I can solder, I can do something. I need a preamplifier for my bass guitar? And he said, yeah, I'm going to make you one. And so I said, no, I can drill it, I can stuff it, but you need to like get it to run because I can't do that. He said, yeah, no problem, I do that. So that was the first thing, and Wolf did that for me, and that was the friendship that started back then. And we his company at the time, he lost his partner in the business, and he was about to go out of business with that. And I was still in university. I didn't need any money at the time, so I said, hey, we cannot let this die. This is such you have these crazy ideas, and I may have something to contribute to make the products, to sell the products, whatever. So we started out as this typical two-man type of duo, sitting in a garage, literally, with a solder iron. So this is the typical old story, and we just started doing it, and we were starting to build equipment. The first real job that we got at the time was from a big. It's a clinic. Like here in Aachen, there is one of the biggest clinics here in Germany, and they were shooting videos from operations and surgeries as teaching videos, and they needed a special mixing desk for all the camera sounds and blah blah blah. So we got our first gig there to make a customized 12 into 4 into 2 channel type of mixer for them, and that was the first real money that we made with this little company at the time. And we're still together, and he's still with the company. He's about to retire in a few years, so it's been a fun journey and a long journey, and that's how it all started. Yeah.
Mhm. So, where is the name SPL come from?
The name comes. This was originally from Wolfgang as well. He had it written in Celtic letters on his first products, and it was like Sound Performance Laboratory or laboratory. So I said, what? This is like huge. I mean, we need to put more knobs on the front panel, and you got this huge of a name. We cannot fit anything on there. So okay, but what you want to do? So I don't know. I mean, just another 3-letter SPL for Sound Performance Lab, but it's just another 3-letter type of thing. And I was thinking, maybe not that bad of a 3-letter, because it's like sound pressure level.
Yeah.
And so you will probably find this in any audiobook 100 times.
Yeah.
Every review, every specs has SPL written somewhere. Okay, it's not sound pressure level, it's sound performance lab. But nonetheless, we got this little advertisement going. I said, okay, we're going to do SPL. That's short and simple. And since then, since I think it was 85, 86 something, since then we are holding this name. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Hermann. Bueno, Hermann habla de que la compañía se inició el año 1983 con su partner Wolfgang. En ese tiempo él en realidad era un aficionado a la música, era un bajista, y Wolfgang era su amigo. Entonces, él lo que le pedía hacer más que nada, oye, ¿sabes qué? Necesito arreglar este amplificador, ¿qué podemos hacer? Y Wolfgang le decía, mira, bueno, lo podemos pinchar, lo podemos soldar, etc. Y en realidad, y después Hermann salió de sus estudios y Wolfgang en ese tiempo ya no tenía a su socio colaborador. Entonces decidió unirse con Hermann. Y empezaron a trabajar casi así como en el garage de la casa, haciendo placas y todo eso. Y uno de los primeros trabajos remunerados que ellos tuvieron fue para una clínica en Alemania, donde hicieron una especie de mezclador de 12 canales, porque ahí ellos transmitían videos y todo eso. Entonces, ese fue uno de los primeros trabajos pagados que tuvieron. Y bueno, Wolfgang, que es el fundador, él sigue hasta el día de hoy, ya está a punto de retirarse. Y bueno, Hermann también comenta sobre el nombre. Yo le pregunté qué significa SPL, que muchos lo asociamos a Sound Pressure Level, o, ¿cierto? A presión sonora.
Nivel de presión sonora, claro.
Exactamente, nivel de presión sonora, pero lo que significa realmente es laboratorio de desarrollo acústico en el fondo, o Sound Performance Lab. Y
Claro.
lo abreviaron a 3 letras porque en el fondo era demasiado grande para poder ponerlo en uno de los aparatos, en los case. Y aparte muy engorroso también de poder estar incrustando cada letra.
Ya, bueno. Buenísimo. Bien. Good. ¿Vamos bien? Oye, increíble, Hermann, la historia que nos acaba de contar. ¿Cómo nació SPL? Coincido que la abreviatura fue un acierto. Ahí, para que después les comentes. Para profundizar un poquito acerca de cómo es la industria y cómo se desarrollan estos productos, quién está detrás de la construcción de la manufactura, los invito a...
Know what this is. We're gonna give y'all 5 seconds to put your drink down and report to the dance floor. Put your hands up. 5 seconds is up. Y'all ready? Let's go.
DJ. Fue un niño prodigio, asombrando al público con sus extraordinarias dotes musicales.
Háganme seña de...
Ya adolescente.
I'm a true champion. That don't know about my flow.
SPL is set up almost like two companies. We have a production company that one of my partners, Heinz Mittelkamp, is running, and he's also a partner in SPL. At the end of the 90s, Heinz said, I want to run my own business and I would appreciate if you be my customer. And we said, hey, that's brilliant, because we don't want to manufacture anymore, really. We just want to design. That's what we can do. That's what we're really good at. Not so much doing the repetitive part, and that consumes most of the day, and we're not free to think, to design and create. He founded his company and it's still next door. So all of these years we keep this in one building. There's only one door. It doesn't feel like two companies. All the engineers here and myself, we design products, bring it to the prototype stage and then give it over to production. That means that we here are totally free of any issues that you have with producing a product. The technology we use is mostly through-hole technology, and that is abbreviated with THT. That's the old components that have long legs and you have to put them through holes in the PCB, right? We use through-hole technology because we can design much faster. Sample back from an SMT stuffer that we could try see if that works. We already have like 5 generations in THD. So what we're doing in here is the stuffing first, then assembling and testing and burn in, and all of that is done in-house. From conception idea to the first prototype running on the desk, in the best case that is about 6 to 8 weeks probably. Then we have that. But honestly, it's about a year and a half. And if it's really complex, and like with iron, for example, Wolf started working on the electronics in 2011, and in 2015 we had a working prototype that we liked. That was 4 years in the making. So there is a different type of product, because compression is such a delicate thing. He studied all the old designs from Fairchild and all of that, and trying to come up with something that none of them ever did. So that was pretty much groundbreaking, and it took him a long time to get it to a point where this product really created a compression sound that was not, I mean, the sound is not a compression, it's more an energizing. You run something through this and you go like, oh, that has more guts, that has more, but it's not really louder in the sense of limiting and you know, that's not what it's supposed to do. But the energetic thing in this is just really awesome. And that's why people really dig it. It's just there is no compressor working like this one. So that is something that takes a long time. So again, it's about what we at SPL always try to do is approach something differently.
Bien. Maravilloso. Oye, la verdad SPL trabaja con una precisión alemana, sin más detalles. Ellos trabajan con una precisión increíble y la verdad, cuando uno toma un equipo de ellos, la verdad se siente la calidad con la que están hechos y la calidad de los componentes. Hoy día en el estudio de ProMusic tenemos la fortuna de tener acá físicamente estos productos. Por si quieres venir a vernos y probarlos, puedes venir al estudio de ProMusic y los tendremos acá en exhibición. Hoy día precisamente les voy a hablar de algunos que tenemos acá en exhibición. Estoy hablando del MTC, que es este que tengo acá a mi lado derecho. Es un producto para hacer monitoreo. O sea, tú centralizas todas tus señales en este equipo y además tiene un tollback que se puede controlar a través de un pedal. Eso es como lo interesante. Bueno, además de las perillitas que les decía yo, la calidad de construcción que tienen son increíbles. Coméntales a Hernán y a Javier para ver si nos pueden profundizar acerca de ese equipo, Omar.
Alfonso is showing the MTC product. Can you talk about in detail what this product, the technology, and what it makes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When we designed the MTC, which is already some time ago, what we heard from so many other customers was that they needed an additional subwoofer to hear their bass sound properly, and they had they needed various inputs more than current other products were offering. And we were thinking, really, is it really such a problem to build a good sounding monitor controller? And we didn't really look into other products, which we never really do, because we never do. We never buy other people's products. So we just do it the way we think it's the right way to do. Anyway, so the MTC offers 6 stereo inputs and 3 stereo monitor outputs. So you can put a near field, a midfield, and a full range system directly to your to the box, to the MTC. Then talkback is very important with an inbuilt electric microphone and a gain control. And then there is also the possibility to create a headphone mix, which we call Q mix, for the artist. So you have one dedicated knob for each question the artist is going to ask. I don't hear myself. It's got to be more loud. Make the playback less loud. So for all of these 3 questions, you have a dedicated pot. The thing is, keep it simple and keep it instantaneous to use. We never wanted to make menu layers, buttons with double meanings. When you press this and you hold this and you do this, then you get that when you press here. Nobody memorizes this. And you need to, because in audio for us, it's all about capturing that moment when the artist is in his or herself. And that's technology is always a problem, because it puts them under pressure. You have to think about other stuff than your performance and so forth. So and that also reflects when the engineer is under pressure. And oh no, so hold it, I need to do this. Oh, stop, wait a minute, I have to do that. Then you ruin the performance. And that's why the product, especially the MTC, is built in a way to be instantaneously used and fast used. And the sound quality, we had customers who bought this and put it in and said, oh, shit, I didn't know my speakers sound that good. I can sell the subwoofer again. Yeah, please do so. You don't need that. So it's about the quality, what you do, that you don't need to have other speakers to compensate for inefficiencies or not well-made products. And that goes along through all of the SPL products. We always think like that.
Thank you, Hermann. Bueno, inicialmente él comentaba, don't worry. Relax.
Sorry.
Bueno, Hermann comentaba inicialmente de que, claro, un caso, por ejemplo, de que en un estudio tienen que tener un subbajo extra porque, no sé, hay alguna falencia en el sonido. Entonces, él lo presenta como un ejemplo inicial y muestra el MTC, en el fondo, lo que te hace, de partida te muestra de manera clara, ¿cierto?, el sonido de tu sistema. Es un sistema simplificado para que el músico, el ingeniero que esté ahí, se preocupe más que nada de cuando tú estás trabajando en la música en sí y no preocupándote tanto de las configuraciones. Es un sistema que está simplificado para eso. Y bueno, en la parte técnica posee 3 entradas estéreo, ¿cierto? Salidas, 6 entradas estéreo,
Acá está la entrada.
salidas de,
Y aquí están
las
los
salidas de
controles que
monitor.
hablaba.
las salidas de monitor, ¿cierto? Tiene un talkback.
Tollback acá.
Y-
Control independiente de
Exactamente.
Tollback. Y aquí para
Así
conectarte
es.
a audífonos.
Buenísimo que lo puedas ir mostrando, Alfonso.
Sí, y esto,
Ujú,
recordemos la situación que dio como ejemplo cuando te piden que el músico no se escucha, dame más mezcla, después, oye,
ujú,
bájale a lo que ya grabé, o no, súbele a
exacto.
todo, eso, como que te volvís
Ujú,
loco, no sabéis qué mover. Acá tienes cada una de las perillas a la vista y a la mano para acceder rápidamente a bajarle al músico. Después, si quieres bajarle a la mezcla de lo que, del background, por así decirlo, después al global. Y ahí ya tienes la mezcla
así es.
de estas 6 señales que tienes conectadas en este equipo. La verdad,
Ujú,
como dice Hermann, es un equipo que posee altos niveles de conversión analógica a digital. Todos los circuitos de SPL son testeados con un nivel de distorsión absolutamente baja. Y por supuesto el ruido de fondo es casi prácticamente imperceptible. Ese es el Monitor and Tollback Controller, MTC. Lo tenemos acá en ProMusic para que lo vengas a probar, a testear desde ya.
exactamente. Sumado también a lo que decía él, que tú puedes conectar el rango completo de tu sistema. Ujú,
Ya, perfecto. Después pasamos al Monitor 2. A ver si lo puedo mostrar por acá, al lado izquierdo mío. Tengo acá este equipo que la verdad viene a innovar un poco porque sirve para hacer mezclas con audífonos. Es decir, es una posible solución, no quiero decir que sea la solución, para aquellos que tienen problemas de sala, no tienen bien controlada su acústica y tienen unos ricos fonos, pero tú sabes que los audífonos presentan al momento de conectarlo a un equipo diferencias de fase, no tienes la misma percepción como si fuesen los speakers, y este equipo viene a sopesar esas diferencias de fase y de control de matriz. Vamos a pedirle a los chicos que nos expliquen de eso, de esa tecnología, por favor.
ujú. Okay. Can you talk about in details about the monitor, Javier? Can you talk about that, or Herman?
Herman, go for it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't dare.
yeah, actually, it was this room where the Monitor 2 was invented. It was in this
Oh.
studio.
Genial.
And the story is that at the time, my daughter, she was just like 2 years old, and she's sleeping upstairs. And I had to mix my band latest album, and I couldn't mix on the speakers, so it was too loud. So I had to mix it on headphones, and I was told I was bad. I mean, I couldn't mix on headphones. It was just not. I couldn't abstract from what happens when you move the speakers from here to there, what that actually meant for the mix. And I went through tons of bad mixes. So I leave you to explain up to this point, Omar, and I'll continue then.
Yeah, thanks. Herman cuenta que el Monitor 2 nació justamente en el estudio donde él está ahora y como una necesidad de cuando él tenía a su pequeña hija en el segundo piso y él necesitaba hacer una mezcla para su banda. Entonces, obligadamente tenía que hacerlo a través de audífonos. Entonces, fue una experiencia terrible pasar desde los monitores hacia los audífonos. Continue, please, Herman.
Okay, so the first thing was that I had ear fatigue. I used headphones for like 20, 30 minutes, and I had to make a break. And I was asking Wolf, hey, I need to work on headphones. I have no other choice. I need to finish this album. And can you build me a headphone amplifier in 120 volt rail, which is our proprietary technology that we use for mastering equipment. Because that is running on such a high rail that it's that the op amps, so the operational amplifiers, do not create any kind of distortion or sound or whatever. They are not saturated, and that actually prevents ear fatigue. And I just wanted to know if that really was the case. So that was the first step.
Ujú. Entonces, bueno, una de las cosas que le sucedía era la fatiga auditiva usando los audífonos. Entonces le pidió a Wolfgang, a su socio, si le podía fabricar un amplificador de fonos para hacer la mezcla. Y utilizando la tecnología que ellos tienen de 120 volts. Que el 120 volts lo que hace es que los amplificadores operacionales a ese nivel no emitan ningún tipo de ruido ni distorsión.
And so that worked, and you could like listen for 2 hours on headphones, and you just, oh shit, I got headphones on. So that was kind of good, but I couldn't create the mixes. Now, when you are mixing on headphones, few things happen that don't happen when you mix on speakers. First is that you have, obviously, your speakers are moving from in front of you directly to the side of your head, and there is no spill from one side to the other on headphones. But when you are in front of the speakers, you have that kind of spill.
Ujú. Exacto. Entonces, bueno, ya tenía los audífonos operando, ¿cierto? Pero sin embargo, el tema de la mezcla sigue siendo muy complicado, porque obviamente mezclar desde unos parlantes o monitores hacia unos audífonos, ¿cierto? Te cambia completamente, sobre todo por el tema de cuando se traspasa el sonido, ¿m? Cuando hay cierta filtración, ¿cierto? Desde el lado izquierdo al
Claro.
derecho o viceversa.
So there are two things happening that are called interaural time difference and interaural level difference. So the interaural time difference is what happens when a speaker from, let's say, the right speaker travels to this side and some of the sound travels to that side. Now there is a time difference in when you perceive it here and there. It's very subtle, and we're talking about between 200 and 600 microseconds, depending how far the speaker moves to the side.
Mhm. Okay,
Omar.
and the level, talk about of the level.
Okay, sorry. Okay, and the level difference, obviously, there's not the level here moving to the other side is lower in level than you have it on the direct side. It's not just the level; it also has to have a frequency compensation, because the frequencies that um, travel around your head, all frequencies above, it starts at about 600 hertz and goes up, and about at 10 kilohertz, all frequencies bounce off your head. They never reach the other ear. So you have a frequency filter to make that all frequencies from base up to 500 hertz, all of them arrive here. And then from 600 hertz onwards, fewer and fewer frequencies come to that side. So these are the three things you need to do. You need to have frequency compensation, level compensation, and time adjustment.
Ujú. Perfect, thanks. Bueno, entonces lo que habla Herman, que una de las dos características principales que se utilizaron fueron la compensación de tiempo y compensación de nivel intraural. Exactamente, lo que está mostrando ahí Alfonso, creo. Entonces, bueno, Herman habla de que cuando nosotros escuchamos, ¿cierto? Desde un monitor hacia nuestros oídos, siempre va a haber hay una diferencia, que la diferencia pueden ser unos 200 microsegundos, una diferencia muy, muy pequeña, y eso es necesario compensarlo. Y lo otro, en relación a lo que es el nivel, la compensación de nivel, Herman habla de que siempre va a haber una diferencia de nivel respecto de cuando te llega el sonido directo, por ejemplo, tu oído derecho en relación al oído izquierdo. Y asimismo también hay una diferencia en el rango de frecuencias. Normalmente sobre los 600 hasta los 600 Hz hasta los 10 kilos, siempre va a haber una baja en la frecuencia por la forma de nuestra cabeza en realidad, donde se produce un rebote de esas frecuencias. Entonces, eso hay que compensarlo a
Exacto,
través de los audífonos. ¿Sí,
exacto.
Alfonso?
Muy bien. Gracias, Omar. Gracias, Germán. Lo que viene a solucionarnos la vida en el caso de gente que quiera mezclar con audífonos, pero manteniendo las mismas condiciones de, como decía Germán, de fase, de tiempo de llegada y de compensar ciertas pérdidas en frecuencia porque nuestra cabeza hace cierta sombra, cierta acústica, estos equipos están diseñados de tal manera que la experiencia de mezclar con fonos sea igual o mejor que mezclar con monitores, porque tienes el control absoluto de la fase, del tiempo de llegada a la oreja izquierda, a la oreja derecha, de la frecuencia, del ángulo y por supuesto el control absolutamente controlable con este potenciómetro de alta precisión. Un equipo que va a dar mucho que hablar, dado a que está construido a 120 volts. Ya vamos a hablar de esa tecnología. Para
Mm.
seguir más acá, ahora ya hablando de preamplificadores de micrófonos, tenemos al frontliner y al crescendo duo, que son estos que están acá arriba, estos dos, estos. También los tenemos en exhibición. Crescendo Duo viene de la evolución del Crescendo Single, por así decirlo, y ahora este es de 2 canales, un preamplificador de micrófonos, y el Frontliner, que es un channel strip a todo cachete. Que no, ahí, Omar, pregúntale ahí de esos dos productitos.
Ajá. Can you talk about the frontliner? El otro, Alfonso, ¿cuál era? Perdón.
Crescendo
Gee.
Duo.
And the crescendo duo, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with the crescendo duo because that is a very, very straightforward microphone preamplifier. Nothing more than that. But it has it also works on 120 volt rails, meaning there's no IC in there. There's all discrete transistor technology, and it can take input levels of up to 32.5 dB. And there is hardly any microphone on the planet that can produce these levels, which means this is an undistortable mic preamp. And it has an extreme clarity because the op amps, due to the high voltage we run, are never colorating the sound. You will probably hear your microphones as they are and the sound of the microphones without being influenced by the sound of the preamplifier the best with the crescendo.
Perfecto. Bueno, Germán habla de que el crescendo en el fondo es un preamplificador directo, tal cual. Ocupa la tecnología de 120 volts, entonces lo que hace es que no existen algún tipo de distorsión o alguna modificación en la coloración del sonido de tu micrófono. También tiene un rango, una tolerancia muy amplia de hasta 32.5 decibeles. Entonces lo que provoca eso es que cuando tú pasas un micrófono a través del crescendo, en el fondo vas a escuchar realmente lo que es, sin ningún tipo de coloración o adicionales. Continue, please.
The frontliner, that is a very complete channel strip. So you have a microphone preamplifier, an instrument preamplifier, and there are individual preamplifiers. It's not just an impedance matching, it's a different, 2 stages are in there. Then you have a de-esser that features unique SPL technology. I can explain that if you like, if you have the time. Then there is a compressor limiter integrated. Then we have an equalizer, a 2-band equalizer with an air band, and we have a tube saturation control. There's another tube built in that you can use it very subtle. You can drive it totally nuts, and it automatically gain compensates the amount of level you throw at the tube. So it's a single knob, and the more you drive it, the more tube sound you get, and the level almost stays unity gain. Then there is an output stage, VU meter, and specialty is that all of these stages can be used individually. So it's not just a channel strip, but it's like 5 processes yet you can use single inserted into other signal chains. So it's like analog plugins, so to speak.
Exacto. Bueno, lo que comenta Germán es que el frontliner, mucho más que un channel strip, se puede entender como un sistema de plugins análogo que se pueden integrar de cierta manera. Bueno, están los preamplificadores de micrófono de instrumento, ¿cierto? y adicionalmente viene deezer, ¿cierto? Está el ecualizador, creo,
Compresor
sí.
limitador.
Compresor, limitador, ecualizador, y una característica notoria que él hablaba era el sector de la ganancia. Ujú. ¿Cierto?
Claro, la saturación del tubo.
La
Acá.
saturación de tubo, exactamente, donde usando la tecnología que ellos tienen, tú puedes darle muchísima ganancia, ¿cierto? Sin lograr una distorsión. Viene con un sistema de compensación, donde en el fondo tú puedes trabajarlo de manera muy sutil o de manera reventar, de cierta forma, eso, y puedes lograr un sonido, ¿cierto? Lograr una buena coloración sin saturación o distorsión.
Exacto. Además, lo puedes utilizar como un procesador independiente o encadenado, como si fuera un channel strip. ¿Sí?
Exactamente,
Eso
es lo que él se refería, como un sistema como de plugins análogo.
Claro, tú eliges solamente un pre o bien pre más compresor más ecualizador, o etcétera. Puedes ir combinando todas esas opciones. Y después acá abajo tenemos la serie Classic, porque esta es la serie de estudio, esta es la serie Classic, el Tube Vitalizer y al otro lado del Gold Mark II. Hablemos de este primero, después mostramos el otro.
Okay,
I get it.
can
I
you-
get it.
Okay.
Yeah, the tube vitalizer is the oldest product that we still have in our range. We designed it in 1995, and we're still making it the way we did it in 1995, and we will continue because people really love it. Now, Vitalizer is the product that made SPL a company. Not specifically that product, that was the latest, the most advanced version, but in the beginning it was called SX2, and later it was called Classic Vitalizer. The Vitalizer was an answer from us. Actually, do you remember Afex, the American company making exciters? Okay,
Ujú.
Afex was the company back in the days that made exciters popular in recording, and they were selling the effect by minutes. So you had to pay like $200 per production minute. And Marvin Caesar got fancy rich of that. So we also wanted to make an exciter, but we didn't want to make it the way that Afex did it, because they were using a patent from an old Swedish guy from 1959 that used overtones, artificially produced overtones, harmonics, to freshen up the sound. And we didn't want to do that, because our philosophy was more that we wanted to keep the original music and the original mix with the content that it had, and manipulate that or work with that, instead of adding something that wasn't there before. So that was our philosophy. Okay, translate that first, and I go on, because that's a little bit longer as a story.
Ok, thanks. Bueno, Herman cuenta de que el Classic, SPL, en realidad el Classic es lo que le da el nombre a la compañía. Es como su estandarte, ¿ya? Creado por allá por los años 95.
Ya.
Él lo que habla es que, bueno, en esa época los excitadores, había una compañía muy famosa, que es la compañía FX, ¿ya? De Inglaterra, que estaba haciendo este tipo de excitadores armónicos, pero sin embargo ellos lo que ocupan una tecnología donde al sonido original le agregan armónicos de manera artificial o de manera electrónica, y ellos en el fondo no quieren hacer eso. Entonces desarrollaron otro tipo de tecnología que Hermann ahora nos va a contar. Go on, Hermann, please.
So that company got a patent on their technology, and they wanted to sue us to infringe their patent with the product that we announced for the Music Messe in Frankfurt in 1988. which put us under total pressure because they were a big company and we were a small company, and they were definitely going to sue us on this. Although we never, so we didn't infringe the patent, but we wanted to do something different then because it was too risky. So Wolf and I sat down from 10 at night until 2 o'clock at night. So after day work in the nighttime, we sat down, played music, and I said to Wolf, "Hey, buddy, we need to find something that treats audio as an entity, where you can manipulate bass and treble and mid range, all like with the whole music." And Wolf like, "Yeah, sure, you can do that." I said, "Yeah, why not? Why not?" I was totally naive, and but I just had this thinking about why not, and say, "Hey, come on, let's put all on a table, and all the filters, and we just start there and we play, and maybe we find something." And it really took us 2 weeks of disappointment and 1 second of what? And we had the worst monitoring system on planet Earth for this because we didn't have any money. I mean, and we was thinking, how can we judge if something that we find is actually cool or not? So we had chassis that costed 15 marks. So that's really nothing, without a box, so just a chassis pinned into the edges of the room, and it sounded terrible. And suddenly we found this, and Wolf was playing with, "Oh, I'm feeding this into this, now I'm looping this to this," and then so yeah, go on, do that. And I was just listening what happened to the music, and suddenly we had this bass that was filling up the room out of these speakers that couldn't produce any bass, and we're like, what time is it? 2 o'clock. Okay, solder that. We're going to see if it's still there tomorrow. And it was. So that then it took us 2 weeks to get this monster, to boil it down, to fit front panels with holes that we already made for the other product. So we had an extreme amount of pots and controls that we needed to shrink down. And we were just trying to figure out, oh, this only sounds good in this position. Okay, fix resistor, throw the pot out. And we were going on like this. Or we can do, if we move the pots like this, these two, then we save another pot and we only have one, or the other one just goes both into the same. Okay, we do that. So we just experimented like hell. And we got this SX2 processor to the Frankfurt show, and it was the hit. Everybody came along and said, "What the fuck did you do there?" And we never heard anything like it. And later on, years later, we got a patent on it. So this vitalizer over there contains one of the few filters that received a patent in the US, in China, in Japan, in Europe. And it made SPL.
It's such a great story, Herman. Yeah, of course. Bueno, Herman cuenta que con la compañía de la competencia, ellos, bueno, la compañía los demandó por estar intentando crear algo similar, supuestamente, utilizando lo que ellos habían creado. Y igual fue algo muy complejo para ellos porque se estaban enfrentando a una gran compañía. Ellos recién estaban empezando, por allá por el año 88, y entonces estaban bien complicados. Entonces Herman cuenta que con su socio, Wolf, se sentaron después del trabajo y se pusieron a pensar, oye, ¿qué podemos hacer? Bueno, Herman le presentó la idea a Wolf, él lo miró así como si estuviera medio loco, no sé qué es lo que quiere hacer, y empezaron a darle vuelta. Herman cuenta que fue mucho tiempo de tortura y después llegó el momento de la iluminación donde pudieron lograr un tremendo resultado. Bueno, Herman también cuenta de que lo que hicieron ellos fue al principio súper rústico, donde solamente estaba el chasis metálico con toda la circuitería, y fueron mucho tiempo de prueba con potenciómetros, con filtros, viendo qué es lo que se podía hacer, qué es lo que mejor se acomodaba, cómo podían quizás unir dos filtros en un solo potenciómetro, etc. Fue un trabajo súper intenso el que hicieron. Y bueno, lo que lograron al final, después del trabajo final, fue lograr patentar gran cantidad de componentes que son los que están ahora en el Vitalizer. Eso sería, Alfonso.
Bien. Finalmente, entonces, el Tube Vitalizer viene a ser una especie de un excitador de frecuencias. ¿Sí? Ok. Y tenemos, por supuesto, la tecnología a tubo. Aquí yo los puedo ver ahí adentro. Maravilloso. Omar, para seguir con la charla y ir terminando, ¿podrías pedirle a Hermann que nos muestre las 3 categorías de productos que tenemos acá a disposición? SPL trabaja, para que ustedes sepan, 3 grandes categorías: Mastering, Studio y Professional Fidelity. Esas 3 categorías, grandes 3 categorías, pueden estar disponibles para cualquiera que necesite. Nosotros trajimos en esta primera oportunidad la serie de estudio, que es la que vimos acá, con la serie Classic también, pero también vamos a traer serie Mastering si es que tú lo necesitas y Professional Fidelity. Germán nos puede hablar acerca de esto. Los invito a mirar la página también, que está súper buena. Ahí Germán nos va a mostrar algunos de estas 3 categorías.
Herman, can you show us briefly the main categories, the 3 main
Absolutely.
categories?
Can
Can you share screen?
Yeah.
¿Puede
share the
compartir
screen?
pantalla?
Okay,
You should.
let me try that.
Ahí está.
Do you
Yes.
see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Sí.
So this is the SPL homepage, and when you come there, this is what you see the first time. So you can select your products by looking at categories, and this is the mastering category, the studio category, and the profile category. Actually, we also have plugins, as you may know, but plugins are exclusively sold through Plugin Alliance and Universal Audio. So we leave it out here because that's all online with their online stores. So in mastering, let's click on it. You see that overview of all the different products that we make. Mercury, this is a DA converter. Gemini, it's an MS processor. Hermes, that's a router for 8 stereo processors, and you can route any direction you want, and you can save the routings and then recall them for everybody. This is if you don't want to patch on patch base and you don't want to do that and you want to compare instantly, this is the way to go. Also, it has 2 parallel mix stages that you can add anywhere in the chain. The MC16, that is a 16-channel monitor controller for all those people doing immersive audio and Dolby Atmos and stuff like that. The DMC, that's the centerpiece. This is where you connect all your inputs, your sources, your speakers, and you pretty much control everything you do in the mastering room. The Ion, that's a mastering compressor, a variable mu compressor. The PQ, it's a 2-channel, 5-band, fully parametric mastering EQ. And the PASEC, that's a passive equalizer, the classic concept of old Pultecs. So that is the current mastering line. All of them are available in red and in black. And they all feature our 120 volt rail. So it's all with the highest possible signal path quality. Omar, do you want to translate here and I go on through the others, or shall I just continue?
Yes, please. Bueno, brevemente, Herman está mostrando, ¿cierto?, en la página web lo que es toda la sección de mastering, con todo lo que es el hardware, ¿cierto? Bueno, habla brevemente, ustedes lo pueden ver también en la página de SPL, Mercury, Gemini, Hermes, el MC16, DMC, Iron, el PQ y el PAS-EQ. Están disponibles en rojo y también en negro.
Negro, yeah.
Y todos con
Herman,
tecnología
please.
120 volts.
Ah, sí, disculpa. Y todos con la tecnología de 120 volts.
Dime
the
si
next,
puedes explicar así, pero muy brevemente, cuáles son las ventajas de trabajar con la tecnología de 120 volts, que finalmente es lo que viene a hacer la diferencia con muchos equipos que están en el mercado.
Herman, briefly, can you tell us about the main difference of working with 120 volts despite the other companies or the other products that you can find in the market?
Sure. The main difference is that the amount of voltage you operate with is decisive on how much headroom, how much dynamic range you have, and thereby how low your noise floor is going to be. So when we're talking about headroom, that means if a signal goes beyond a certain level, how much higher can I go without distorting? If you think about the current digital to analog converters and you get a full range 0 dB FS signal and you convert that to analog, and you convert it with plus 18 dBu. So that's a full level CD will be put out at plus 18 dBu. Now, when you take standard technology and then with plus or minus 15 volts, this already clips at 21.5 dB. So there is only 3 dB of headroom before your transistors start to distort. Imagine you are working on it and you are EQing, you are compressing. There is only that little headroom that you can work with without the distortion kicking in from the components. And that is typically where we say, okay, this product has a nice top end because it behaves nice. Other products, no, they don't behave nice. They have like a harsh top end. Oh, the highs are not that good. The bass is a little bit muddy because it cannot cope with the level. And in 120 volt rail, this is not clipping at 21. This is clipping at 32.5. And now this 10, 12 dB doesn't seem a lot, but it's a logarithmic scale. So it doubles with every 6 dB, meaning we have quadruple the amount of dynamics than in standard technology. That's the reason why using a higher voltage gives you the impression that you don't hear the electronics because they are inaudible. They are not touched by any level that comes in. They are just not, they don't care. And that's the good thing, because now everything that happens is due to the music and due to the effects that you do, due to your recording. It's nothing artificially coming in. And that is why the mastering engineers they actually drove us to do that, because they had the problem that they could never really work on material without having an influence from the products they use on the sound. And they didn't want to do that because they wanted to just EQ and not EQ with distortion. It sounds a bit hard when I say it like this, but honestly, it is actually really like that. Analog products do not distort and sound terrible. They just go gradually into distortion and they sound rougher and rougher until they really distort. But this roughness is creating ear fatigue. This roughness is something where you go like, after 20 minutes, oh, I need to stop with that recording. I need to listen to something else. It's just too much. So all these sonic effects are not there when you work with a higher voltage. And for example, when we started doing that already in 1995, when we initially worked on designing the 120 volt rail op amps. And at the time, there were only Avalon doing 60 volt and GML Labs doing 48 volt, but that was it. Nobody did more than that. And Wolf said, I want to go 120. I said, okay. Are there any transistors around to do that? Yeah, I've seen them there in the satellite communication. That's where they use this. So, okay. So he bought like I don't know, 20 different makes, brands, and built little op amps with that. And we sat there in the evenings and listened to music and just figuring out what sounds pleasing, what is sounding nice, because they're not made for audio. They're made for HF, high frequency stuff. But they have a transmission range that also works in audio. And we only found 2 companies that sounded nice. So, but the funny thing is we couldn't buy them. They wouldn't let us buy them. Once we got them, they said, no, you can't get them. And we're like, what? We just worked for 2 years or 3 years on this and we cannot buy it. I said, no. We only produce for 5 companies worldwide. Both companies, each of them said the same thing. We're like, that's weird. So we got on a waiting list. And it took us another 2 years until one called up and said, hey guys, you can come in. One other company left, so you can jump in and buy these transistors. I said, okay, how much? Not how much, how many is the question. Oh, how many? You need to buy 300,000 and then you can get in. And we're like, oh, whoa, I gotta talk to the bank first. And we did that and we bought them and so we could make these products at the end of the 90s. So that was the first time. The PQ 2050 was the first one, and the MMC1 mastering desk that we built for Galaxy Studios and for Bob Ludwig and these kind of people at the time. That's when, and now we're already in generation, I think it's generation 6 or 7 of op amps, making them smaller, making them more reliable, making them easier to make, and all of that. So making them cheaper because they were very expensive in the first thing, and we couldn't make any products that you could buy. Actually, Phonitor 2, the one that we talked about, was the first product that got, I think, a generation 4 of these op amps, and they were small enough so and inexpensive enough to make these kind of products with them. And since then we started to grow this line. Oh, sorry, Omar, that was a long story.
My mind has just exploded.
Yeah.
You're clipping.
Pero
No.
como que dije brevemente.
No, get chill, relax. I'm get used to this. Bueno, habla Hermann, cuenta que uno de los grandes problemas que tiene, voy a hacerlo bien resumido,
Sí,
Alfonso,
sí.
por
Tranquilo.
tema de tiempo, que él habla que una de las grandes diferencias, por ejemplo, que tiene el audio digital versus los equipos estándar de audio analógico son el manejo del headroom.
Claro.
Que eso en el fondo afecta a la distorsión. Normalmente, ¿cierto? El rango de headroom en los equipos digitales o análogos tradicionales son 20-21 decibeles en promedio, y luego de eso ya tienes distorsión. Entonces no te queda mucho espacio para trabajar si, por ejemplo, vas a hacer un trabajo, no sé, una conversión a un CD o otro tipo de formato. Lo que hace la tecnología de 120 volts que ocupa SPL, ellos aumentan el headroom a 32 decibeles. Entonces, con eso tú ya puedes cuadruplicar, ¿cierto? La cantidad de nivel que puedes trabajar sin lograr distorsión. Acordarnos, ¿cierto?, que se ocupa una escala logarítmica, entonces es bastante lo que uno puede aumentar. ¿Y cómo lograron eso? Bueno, Hermann cuenta un poco la historia de que al principio empezaron a hacer la búsqueda de qué tipo de componentes podían servir para ocupar este tipo de tecnología. Y bueno, llegaron a ciertos amplificadores operacionales que se ocupan solamente en el mundo de las telecomunicaciones, los satélites, ese tipo de aparatos. Y en esa época era muy difícil de conseguirlo. Entonces, bueno, pudieron probar un par de estos y llegaron junto con Wolfgang, que es su socio, llegaron a un par que funcionaba bastante bien para lograr el rango que ellos querían ocupar. Y sin embargo, el precio era así exorbitante y había lista de espera porque había muy pocas compañías que los fabricaban en esa época. Bueno, tuvieron que hacer la lista de espera, tuvieron que comprar muchísimas unidades Y gracias a eso pudieron salir las primeras unidades de 120 volts que de hecho se ven ahí en la página en el área de mastering. Afortunadamente ahora ya es mucho más asequible obtener esos amplificadores operacionales. Entonces el Phoniton que creo que, no sé si lo vimos, parece, el Phoniton,
Acá.
sí, exactamente. Ese que está ahí tiene amplificador operacional de cuarta generación. Entonces eso hace que sea mucho más barato y mucho más asequible, ¿cierto? Entonces ya se pueden generar los productos con mucha mayor facilidad.
Bien.
Well, you can summarize that pretty fast, man. Okay, so I'm going back to the other
Yes, please.
categories, if you don't mind. Okay, I'm going to share the screen again.
Yes.
So
The studio section.
Okay, yeah, we go back to studio,
Yeah.
and this is the studio line. So in the studio line, we have like a few subcategories. The regular studio products like the Crescendo Duo or the Frontliner, the stuff that we spoke about before. The Series 1, which is a new entry-level type of little series. The 500 series, these are all Rec Pack. Sorry, Rec Pack, that was our, no, it's Series 500 for this 500 rack from API. Modules and the classics. Here's the picture of the classic Vitalizer. And these are all the products we have in the classic range. So the one that we spoke about, the tube vitalizer. This is the Gold Mic Mark II, which you saw in the other rack, in Alfonso's other rack, yes. And the stereo vitalizer Mark II-T, which is the smaller brother of this one. The Gain Station 1, this is a Class A and a device running on plus and minus 30 volts. Excuse me. So that's a 60 volt rail device. And the de-esser and the Transient Designer 4. Transient Designer being one of the, also, or some say it's legendary. I would never use this word, but it's one of the products that put us on the map in America. Probably because it's so simple to use. It only has 2 knobs per channel, and they love that. But it also was something that is revolutionizing dynamic processing. It's not a compressor, it's not an expander, but you can prolong a sustain, you can shorten sustain, you can just give the kick more emphasis or less emphasis. So just with 1 or 2 buttons, you can do all these things. So that's a very interesting product. The 500 series has headphone amplifier, the Transient Designer, and the de-esser. So basically these 2 units that we have here for the 500 series. And this is the Series 1, all the new little controllers and headphone amplifiers. And the studio range, now this is pretty wide. Let's start from the top. We spoke about the Phoniton 2. We spoke about Crescendo Duo. We also have this as an 8-channel unit if you really have to run multiple channels. Frontliner, we spoke about that. The smaller brother is the channel 1, and the even smaller brother is the track 1. So there are 3 channel strips. Then the mix streams are also on 60 volt rails, so with a higher headroom. There are analog summing devices, 16 channels. The big mix stream has more features in there, like stereo expander and peak limiter and in master channel insert, switchable, output transformers from Lundau. The Madison is a 16 channel ADDA converter based on MADI, and it goes along with the Medican. That's the interface for the Madison. We should put them together, actually. It's a bit weird that they are so far apart. But they go together. Then the MTC, we spoke about that. We have a similar product, the SMC, which is for 5.1. And the SMC 7.1 is obviously for 7.1. So these are all monitor controllers. So is the 2Control. That's pretty similar to the MTC, but it doesn't have talkback, but therefore it has 2 headphone outputs immediately on the box, and it has, sorry, I just flipped on it, crossfeed as well. So this was the first product as a monitor controller where we had a crossfeed built in, 2 inputs, 2 outputs, and a mono output for a subwoofer or a mono speaker. Let me go back to where we were. Then the volume 2, volume 8, these are just simple volume controls for dual channel and 8 channel, simple. The reducer is a power soak. This is not a studio product, really. This is our venture into, we had a few of those. The transducer, the cabulator, and now the reducer, all for guitarists. If you want to use your guitar head and you want to have like 100 watts of tube power, then you can, but it's too loud in your room, you can use the reducer and you keep the sound of the head, but you listen on very little level with this. So, and then finally, the last range with this, the Professional Fidelity. And that is, I mean, probably not for most of you listening or hearing this or watching this. This is for hi-fi. And these are all the products use the 120 volt technology, which we call Voltaire technology, because in hi-fi you need to have fancy names. And I was thinking, I remember one of our sales guys in America, Simon, he said to me, "Hey, Hermann, you cannot call it 120 volt rail here in hi-fi. Nobody understands this. We have 115 coming out of the wall plug. And if you talk about 120, they think something's wrong." I said, "Oh, so they don't even understand the difference between AC and DC?" No. Okay. Go home, think about something. So I sat on the plane and I was like, Jesus, I should have to come up with a fancy name. Great. And I was thinking about volt. Yeah, we got lots of volt. And then this French philosopher Voltaire came to mind. I said, "Oh, Voltaire, he was a cool dude. Yeah, great." And air, yeah, just air is sky-high dynamics. We got that. Yes, definitely. So that is, okay, we take the name of this French philosopher and we cut the E at the end and we call it Voltaire and that's it. That's how it comes along. So we have headphone amplifiers in here. We have preamplifiers and decks in that, and also rear phono preamplifiers, and we have power amplifiers, mono blocks, stereos. This one has a kilowatt of power, all class AB. Bipolar transistor. And we have an analog crossover, which is pretty rare these days. They all are digital, but this is an analog two-way crossover. Nice. So yeah, that's the range.
Cool.
I stopped that.
Perfecto. ¿Necesitas que traduzca algo, Alfonso, un poco?
Sería bueno, pero mirando la página, para la gente que estaba mirando tal vez y no entendió mucho de qué trata cada producto.
Sí.
puedes,
¿Cómo lo
Hermann, volver a
hacemos?
mostrarlo.
¿Compartes tú o le pido a Hermann que comparte?
No, yo no tengo aquí, pero Germán puede hacerlo, ¿sí? Por nosotros.
What should I do?
Hermann, can you share the screen again, please? For
Sure.
us?
To explain
Sure.
in Spanish now.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, sorry. That wasn't very
You
nice
forgot
of
me,
me.
don't worry.
I'm sorry. We've been. Oh shit.
Studio.
No. Just show us, and I do a brief translation of that. Okay.
Okay.
The studio, please. The studio section.
That's where we are. This is studio section.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ok. Acá yo también la tengo. Estoy viéndola de manera simultánea en la página. Así que estudio. Ok. Claro, bueno, entonces Hermann comentaba, ¿cierto? En la serie de estudio, ¿cierto? Hay distintos tipos de dispositivos. Está, por ejemplo, todo lo que es la área de estudio en sí, Monitor, Crescendo, Frontliner, que eran los que habíamos hablado durante la charla, hace un poco atrás. También mencionaba, Madison, que bajo conectividad MADI. Menciona también, por ejemplo, el MTC, el MTC y los otros que vienen, que SMC y el SMC 7.1 para 5.1 y 7.1 respectivamente. Exactamente. Algo bien interesante, el reducer, que en el fondo te permite manejar, ¿cierto? Puedes, por ejemplo, escuchar un instrumento con muy alta ganancia y a bajo nivel. sin perder las características, las coloraciones que tiene el instrumento en sí. En
Sí,
Sirius
eso lo tenemos
One,
en stock, de hecho.
sí, maravilloso. Ahí para que lo puedan ir a probar
Los
entonces.
guitarristas que quieran ensayar ahí sin meter ruido a los vecinos, tenemos el reducer acá en stock.
Ajá, exactamente. Bueno, más abajo en Sirius One, los amplificadores de fonos en el fondo,
Es el nivel, la
controladores.
serie entrada de SPL.
Exactamente, exactamente, tal cual. Bueno, está también la serie 500 que hablaba, ¿cierto? Que tenemos ahí amplificadores de fonos, modificadores de transientes, y en el Classics, que también estuvimos hablando un poco sobre eso, ¿cierto? Sobre la serie
Claro.
Classics, el Tube Vitalizer que estuvimos comentando hace
Exacto.
poco, sí, el Deezer y también esto, ¿cómo lo podríamos llamar? El procesador de dinámica de transientes.
El Deezer. Sí.
Sí, el de transiente, el de
Transiente
abajo.
y el Gold
Así
Mic
es.
también lo tenemos acá en el estudio, a mi lado
Sí.
derecho estaba.
Perfecto. Genial. Herman, can you switch to mastering, please?
No,
Tenemos...
No, you
No,
mean profile,
profile.
right?
Profile.
Professional Fidelity.
Fidelity.
ok, profile. Mastering ya habíamos hablado sobre esto.
Yes.
Sí. Y bueno, en Professional Fidelity, Hermann cuenta un poco la anécdota sobre el nombre, que le pusieron un nombre Voltaire, que ellos cuando quisieron introducir esta serie, ¿cierto? En América, la encontraron, el nombre inicial era 120 volts, y era así como un nombre como muy, muy fome, por decirlo de cierta manera. Entonces Hermann ya cuando iba ya de vuelta hacia Europa, estuvo pensando un poco sobre el nombre, y bueno, llegó a esto que en el fondo es como una mezcla de voltaje con aire, inspirado un poco en Voltaire. Ajá, el francés. Y acá lo que tenemos en la serie Profile es, los headphone amplifiers, amplificadores de fonos, ¿cierto? Preamplificadores, convertidores también.
Ujú.
Y la parte de abajo que son los crossovers, amplificadores de potencia y crossovers de hasta 1000 watts, si no
Sí,
me
esta
equivoco,
parte está
Alfonso.
más orientada para los audiófilos o hi-fi, que ya son
Así
más
es.
exquisitos y necesitan equipos con alta fidelidad y este tipo de tecnología. Acá SPL tiene un catálogo bien amplio en cuanto a amplificadores de fono, amplificadores de potencia y todo lo que acabamos de ver. Una
Ujú,
pregunta que
así es.
tenemos acá es acerca de Voltaire, precisamente, que si es cierto que permite experimentar la música al mismo nivel que el ingeniero de sonido de masterización.
Mm. In the Voltaire series, Herman, it's true that you can experiment the sound as the same as an engineering mastering sound at that level.
Yeah. Because that was the idea when we started with the series, that we use the same technology that we use in the mastering components and the mastering consoles and everything we do there. We take the same technology, the same circuitries, and we just put them into different housings to make them fit at home. But it is exactly the same technology, and that's why we could really claim, no, with the Profile series, you not experiment, but you experience the sound on the same level as the mastering engineer, because he uses the same technology and the same products. So that was the link for the audiophile to understand that we are not another company trying to make amplifiers and preamplifiers for hi-fi. We actually come from the side where music is being produced and where the finishing touches for a CD, for a vinyl, for whatever in the mastering are done. This is where SPL is at home. And now you can take this technology and you buy a Profile product and you have the same technology in your home.
Perfecto. Hermann comenta que es exactamente la misma tecnología y los mismos componentes que se ocupan en los equipos de audio profesional, en los equipos para estudio, es lo mismo que está integrado en los equipos de Profile. Exactamente, eso es lo que comenta a grandes rasgos Alfonso.
Claro, es como lo que hace THX, que te garantiza tener todas las condiciones acústicas, de las butacas, las pantallas, para que el espectador tenga esa experiencia de ver la película con la misma calidad que fue hecha en cuanto a imagen y sonido. Acá es lo mismo. SPL integra en estos sistemas los mismos componentes que se trabajan con la parte de masterización, de tal manera que la experiencia de escuchar sea la misma que tiene el ingeniero de masterización o mezcla. Perfecto.
Así es.
Bueno, yo creo que ya estamos llegando al término de las charlas. No tenemos preguntas más que las
¿Más
que acabo
preguntas?
de hacer.
Ya.
Para que les digas a los chicos.
We have no more question of our audience.
Por favor. Sí.
They are a little bit lazy, maybe.
Fue todo muy claro. Bueno, me voy a despedir en español y después les comentas a ellos también, Omar, que los dejo invitados a todos los que se conectaron a visitar la página web promusic.cl. Van a ver un banner donde dice SPL from Germany, la nueva marca de ProMusic. Ya está disponible en algunos formatos de productos, en algunos productos. Acá, en donde estoy yo sentado, en el estudio de ProMusic, tenemos en exhibición la mayoría de lo que es estudio. Si tú quieres investigar acerca de otro en particular, un producto de masterización, por ejemplo, que ya lo están solicitando, la gente que nos ve están preguntando por otros equipos, otros modelos, ningún problema, tú lo ves en la página web y nos llamas a tu ejecutivo de ventas para coordinar, ¿cierto?, la importación directa. Nosotros somos los representantes oficiales y tenemos todo el servicio de postventa acá en ProMusic. Desde ya los dejo invitados a conectarse a las redes sociales, en YouTube, Facebook, para más información acerca del contenido de esta charla o otras que hay. Es que Omar, Javier, Hermann, no me queda más que agradecerles. Thank you so much a
Thank you.
todos por la
Thank you.
disposición, su tiempo y la explicación, como siempre, tan clara de Hermann.
De nada.
Hablaba en español. Lo hubiese dicho antes.
Muy bien, Herman, very well.
Ok, sí, hasta luego.
Eso. Nos vemos pronto. Chao, Javier. Chao, Hernán.
Chao.
Muchas
Chao.
gracias.
For
Chao,
joining
Omar.
us.
Chao, chiquillos. Nos
Bye
vemos.
bye.
Alfonso.
Hasta la próxima.
Chao.
Gracias.
Muchas,
Chao.
muchas gracias.